Hey everybody, what is happening? Dela. I am back with my Madden 16 Raiders Playbook. This could be the first episode. I'm going to get into the single back. As you can see me running right here with the Larry Fitz there. How to get that in there. But I will use the Patriots actually for this just because Brady's a more accurate mid-range passer, which is kind of what I look for out there. But today, like I said, we're going to get into the single back formation. We'll start with that. We'll work our way through it. So this is going to be done in episodes. We'll take them as they come, work a few minutes on each play so I can show you how I set them up. You can see we got 5 of these in here, but we're just going to get to the first couple here today. Like I say, I'll show you how I set these plays up, and then you can just see them in action a little bit. I'm going to start off running the corner strike out of ace wing. So number 1, when I write these down in a book, guys, I like to write down the number because instead of the name, it's easier to find them. You single back, I know number 1 formation, because when you get into the shotguns into this, especially, this is one of those that has a lot of shotguns, so it has like 20. It's easier to know the number instead of the name. So on this one right here, we're going to put B on a streak, and we're going to motion them out left. We're going to put A on a slant, and we're going to block the running back, RB. And that's what we're going to get there. The streak coming off there is not going to be open very often. We're really going to be focusing on the X. Is what when he breaks across, right before he breaks across, that's really what we're going to try and do. B is going to bring the top off of there and cover threes and stuff, and it's just going to break you wide open a lot like that. That's the idea there, because they have to respect the deep, they have to respect the streak. So when you break off, especially in a cover 3 or something like that, and obviously that's a man beater also. So that route with that combination in there is very nice. And then we've got some underneath stuff with Y in case we get a blitz coming in, but then A coming across. So really what I'm looking for X on his break, and then A underneath, which right there could have had his bad pass. Either of those guys I could have really had there. And that's the thing with a lot of these QBs in this game, especially early on. It's just the accuracy stuff bugs me because you just miss throw balls a lot. Even when you're not even under pressure, I notice, just because the ratings are fairly low. So looking forward to getting some better cues down the road here. Again, right there, both guys kind of open on that. So this one is going to beat a lot of mans. It's going to beat a lot of zones. One of the plays that I've actually been using quite a bit out of this book lately. So I had some similar plays like that last year in the Rams one, in a sense there, and I was trying to find something similar to it, and this was the best I could find early on for that type of corner type route. I prefer to have the inside corner and the slant on the other side. I mean the streak on the outside, but I haven't came across that yet. I'll keep an eye out though. And and also just getting ahead before I get into any of these other ones, because this one I think I'll let it run a little long. We're not going to run these every play, so I'm going to give you a lot of plays. They're all going to be modified in there, but you want to get your stock plays down. Feel free to use those to see basically what you're going to be comfortable with. Because some of these plays, especially if you run motion, it's going to take a little bit of time off the clock, so you want to be able to bounce back around. And really, I'm going to be going over the passing stuff here, not necessarily any of the running stuff. I'm going to like the wide trap in this, and there's going to be a lot of ram stuff that's going to leak into this playbook in here, so don't worry about that. If you didn't really want to change or not, there's going to be enough in there that makes it worth it. Okay, I'll say after that. And again, since I forgot to mention a couple times, it is going to be B streak and motion them left. So you put the B receiver on a streak, then motion them left, A slant, and RB block. And then, that'll be the end of that one. And then we're going to move on. Again, we'll be in the single back number 1. It's ace wing, but we're going to say single back number 1, and this will be the play action cross shot, PA cross shot. And here we're going to do a Y streak, X out, and RB swing left. So you can see what it's looking at before. And some of these play actions, some of these could be decent, like I say, if you want to run them stock also. So just feel free to kind of mix that up, whatever it is you want to do. This is just giving you a customized type of a playbook. I try to set up plays to take advantage of, coverages, mismatches if I can, for the basically in my own style. This one's a fairly basic one, but I like to, if you watched last year, I was very successful hitting a lot of seam passes with your tight ends. And in this offense, I'll tell you, it's really going to be beneficial to have a really good number 2 tight end. for what we run. You know, there's some things that are pretty crucial, and you see that's going to beat man a lot right there. As long as you got a decent receiver in that spot, when if you get that coverage without a user on you, you know, you're normally going to pull away and be able to get that. And you see, if we go right back here, it's fairly tight, but we get enough to make it. So that one's going to have that man beater in it. You know, so basically on this one, I pretty much focus on Y off the line. If I know that I got a clean shot at Y, I'm going to take him. Otherwise, then I'm going to look for that you know, that B receiver in there. Cutting across underneath him. If you catch any blitz, as always, you can attempt to get the swing out there on the side underneath. You know, and on occasion, depending on how much time you really have out there, you know, when you put those outs, the reason you do a lot of that sometimes is because when they bounce off the sidelines, they will take funky routes. Like right there, you see he started doing you know, he started streaking down the sideline. It might have been a completed pass had I been looking over there. So that's why sometimes I like to put the outside guys on out routes. Even if you know especially when you're going to go for a deeper one. And there we go. We managed to hit that, a little kind of funky on it. But so between those two, that's kind of what we're doing that play for. It's not an overly complicated one, so that's why it's kind of nice sometimes to have some that you can mix up and just change on your own real fast. And again, that's a Y streak, X out, and RB swing left. You know, and some of them, like when you do the running back swings, you know, those are optional to block them. You can run like the outs. Those are nice sometimes also. So, you know, or wheels, you know, so feel free to modify that stuff to your fitting, obviously. On some plays it's crucial what you do, on some it's kind of not, you know, it's up to you. And, you know, if you've got to be able to read your own defenses, be able to pick up blitzes when they're coming and see that and know what to go to in those cases. You know, as you get a front like this, you might want to get a quick one. You might want to dump that off if you can hit a quick screen or right in there. So we're going to go now. We're going to out of that formation. We're going to be still in single back, but now we're number 2. So single back 2, which is going to be ace pair. So we're looking at single back 2. This is going to be the play action Y drag wheel. So you'll see it as the PAY drag wheel on the screen. This was, again, another one that had a very familiar feel to it when it comes to the Rams play last year. So if you remember that, we're going to take Y, the running back, put him on a wheel. So Y is wheel, and we're going to motion him left. You know, this one, you can leave it like that at that point, or I also sometimes will recommend putting the A on just a straight drag. It just depends on what you feel you can get out of it. That route is funky, he runs, but that X right there, that is one of the nice things. It's one of those that it beats a lot of things, and then in a lot of zones, it finds the hole really well, and, you know, in man and stuff like that. So as you see, X, we'll hit that a few times in here just to get a good feel for that one, but I did really like that route. That's why I ran this play a lot. I just found that it was just open for that nice and easy, 8-yard average or so pass. Just boom, just hit it. Once you wait for the zone there. He'll just keep crossing it, you know. So normally it's a pretty good one if the defenders, and again, they don't have a user who you don't think is going to be sitting in that area. But if so, a user is normally going to be assigned to, you know, either that middle zone or sometimes going to be on the halfback who are swinging out. So that's also one of the other things. There's the underneath. When I put it on a drag there, like I say, so and I prefer the drag. I just think because it's a better option, especially when you're getting blitz or more pressure. So I do prefer to have A on that. But here you can see is why we hit Y out there on that wheel route in this one. Normally, if you see him and he gets manned up, especially on the linebacker in there and something like that, and even in some zones, if you decide to put X on like a streak and try and blow the top of it, you know, he should have caught that ball, like hit him in the helmet, but, you know, that's all right. I think actually I had Blunt in there for a while, and I ended up changing to Lewis. So, and that's the other thing, you know. So with that, for that position, obviously, why I run Jamal Charles so much is he's a really good receiving back. It used to be really good speed. So you can get that combination. You're going to be really successful. It's going to help you out a lot. Get really good tight ends, a couple of real good tight ends, and the second one doesn't have to be superstar. Just at least somebody who's fairly fast, has some ball skills, but definitely want a good blocker. So, just find somebody with that decent enough blend like that. But the running back, definitely you want him to be quick and have the hops, have the catches. Man, he's got to be able to go out there and play receiver for what we're doing in this offense. If you are wanting to run this, so those guys we're going to be looking for. I don't know if they're going to have like a Marshall Falk or anybody this year. We'll see how it goes and who they all get out there. But again, so this is what we're looking again. So it's going to be a Y. We put him on a wheel. We motion him left, and then like I say, I put you can put the tight end in at that point. A on a drag, and again him coming across, and then there we go. Basically, that if you get time on that one, that is a really nice play. Really for the running back, you can get big gains. So we're going to go into the next one now. This was again another one of those other type of fields. This is going to be the number 2 or single back number 2 ace pair, but number 2 TE attack. So and another thing. I'll get to you after this. Sorry about that. For this play, we're going to put just B on a drag. As simple as that. You can put X on an out, just for an option if you want. But for the most part, this is a simple play. I just put B on the drag. I like the underneath route combo a lot better. I think like there, gives you something to fall back on if those middle routes are covered. Because normally if those first 2 can be covered, normally the third is. So I prefer to have that on the bottom there. So try and hit some windows with this. And to back what I was about to say before I set this play up, I also like to jot down when I'm writing a play down. I like to write down the direction that typically the play goes. Like like the TE attack, for example, is going to be going to the left. Typically you're going to end up if you want to be spotted on the right side of the field, going to the left. So stuff like that I like to mark down also, along with whether or not these are like zone beaters, man beaters, versus plays like that. Just little things to keep an eye when you're learning the plays, till you kind of know, oh, I want to call this when I'm on the right side, because I do like to keep in mind when I'm calling plays the open side of the field. Doesn't mean you have to use that every time. You don't want to be too predictable, to that point. But it does serve you very well on certain plays, though. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're writing these plays down, if that's what you are choosing to do. It'll help out in there. So again, here it's pretty simple on this one. I mean, you're pretty much gonna see here. You've got A when he cuts across. Again, a lot of mans. He's gonna cross face if you got a good receiver in there. And another thing really to watch here when I'm watching this play, which again is just a B on a drag. The 2 tight ends when they break off. See right there, you can hit either one in a sense right there, and you can start off with that and just get the 6-7 yards, a nice little chunk, or you can wait for them to hit the cut and try to get longer. As you see there, start hitting the other tight end on that. So that has a chance for that, or if you get locked up, single coverage, and a good blitz and something, like a play like this one also, or certain zones, you can get good chunk play on this one also. So it's not bad for that. Fairly easy to read, and we shouldn't have an issue there unless throwing picks. I would say it's not too hard to really see what the defense is doing on that play. So you just don't force the ball. I mean, it's easier to say that, though. That's just one thing we all sometimes do. But for the most part, where the breaks are. And if you don't see it after that first cut, if right at the first 2 break, you either catch B after the RB here after the snap. If you don't like it there, you wait for the A to cut. And if you don't like A's cut, you go down to the B, the drag. And if not that, you're going to have to eat it, throw it away. I mean, that's just how kind of the plays work. You want to see those progressions in there. So we're getting to the next one now. Again, we're in single back number 2. This will be ace pair, but it's single back number 2. It's going to be the play action, come back and go. So the PA come back and go. On this one, we're going to run A on a streak, RB drag, and Y block. So A on a streak, RB drag, and Y block. And you see there, this is going to be one where I'm running the seam a lot. That's really my main look right off the bat. I'm looking at the seams on this play. As you know, as I said before, this is just something that was really successful with. The last few years I played, since I come back and actually played this style, MUT and all that stuff. So, as long as you don't have a good user who recognizes you like to, you favor that, early on off a route, you'll be all right. But, if you see somebody who's sitting on there, that's just going to open up other areas too, though. So, this is kind of a game of chess that we play when you get to the, upper echelon, you're playing better players. It's going to be there. But, and again, we go with the A streak, RB drag, Y block. You can kind of roll out a little bit out there if you want to. and hit him coming across. So, basically, as you can see when you watch that setup in there, your first read is going to be A. If you don't see that, you're going to watch X coming across, and at that point, you just drop your eyes back down to the A. So that's your simple progression across your, the path. And once you figure that out and get comfortable with that, you'll know where you're looking in plays, and all plays know your reads right off. And once you get comfortable with that stuff, it makes it a lot easier to go through the plays and not have as many bad plays. Basically, that's what you're trying to do, is be efficient as possible. The more efficient you are, the more you're going to score. Simple as that. Obviously, right? So we're setting this one up again with the A streak, RB drag, white block, and I was saying before, really, I haven't got into the running stuff in the sense there, but if there's not really a lot of stuff that's going to be special in a lot of these books. It's going to be the same, basic stuff across, that I've seen aside from the wide trap runs, which I like to specialize. So if you've got a top receiver, a tight end, you can let this play drag out and even go for the bomb on it. That's not a bad one, especially if you get some, like cover 2 stuff. When you're splitting down there, maybe a nice inside pass. Sometimes we'll get that if you run just straight cover 2s. Those are nice also. And again, there's your guy crossing underneath. If you do have to hit that, fall back to it, and then on some blitzes. And then you see, like on some setups like this, hey, if they're going to be bringing the heat, maybe I can try and get A off the line, break him up and see if I get the step on it, get position. And that's one thing that's kind of nice about the receiving this year. At least, I feel a lot more like your body position really does matter in this one. It really does play. You shield the defender and stuff like that, making some of the catches. It's kind of, they did at least some of the animation stuff is cool. Obviously, there's a lot of the same glitchy stuff, unfortunately, with the game, because it seems like they copy and paste every year, and so the same issues come up over and over again. But I'd say I guess that's just how it's always going to play out, right? So I see coming across, nothing too big there. So go through these. Let me just one more here, and then I'll move to the next play. And there we go. Like I say, that's like on a cover 2 there again. That's what I was saying before. You hit that inside. If they're just hanging out, you're normally going to get big gains. And a lot of plays, whenever you can attack the middle of the field, it's going to be pretty good. And we'll have more stuff like that, obviously, in the other formations. These are just the single back stuff. But I want to get it out. I mean, it's what it is. And here's the last one that's going to be, at least in this today for these two formations there. It's going to be the play action boot LT. It's going to read PA boot LT. And we're going to flip this one. So this is the only play that we're going to flip out of any of these. But we are going to flip this one, typically go right. And I mean, unless you got yourself a left-handed QB, then feel free just to run it however you want. But we'll put Y on a wheel, B on a streak, and X on a slant. And as you can see, we are flooding the right. So this is a play you want to start on the left-hand, side of the field, basically. That's how I was talking about before, when you notice how some of these, plays progress. So Y on a wheel, B on a streak, and X on a slant. You can kind of sit in the pocket. You can kind of roll out with the guys. But as you see here, when you hit this RB coming across, if you've got it set up, you're going to get the blocking. So if you have some guys out there who can lay some people down, especially as the game progresses and we get better players out there, you see there's going to be man up on that one. And I will say this is one of those plays that's not super versus man as far as some of that stuff, just because a lot of the routes are in the same area. So it's not the best man. It's definitely a play I would rather use against the zone. I'd say that, So I mean, if you don't like, if you think it is, you can always audible out if you're not a big fan of what it is, what you're seeing. If you don't like it, but if you pretty much want to stay away from those chances. But again, we keep flooding that out. I mean, you're going to have Y on some of the turnarounds if you want to let it play deep. But for the most part, I do kind of like, it's just normally 6 to 10 to 12 yard play just from letting the backup tight ends, number 2 tight end. But again, early on, I'm running this scrub guy out here. So like I said, if you had a better backup tight end, number 2 tight end in there, definitely this play is going to be more effective. That's why I say for this formation, it's nice to have one. But as you see, we can get down there, and some of the guys make a block, some don't. But that's typical stuff in here, even when they're faced up with it, because the awareness, especially early in the game when the awareness is really low, it's really evident. So, but you see there, you normally go down, you've got a few blockers, defenders, but it's enough that it should be fairly effective. It's probably fairly tough to read off the bat, aside from somebody jumping the back. I have the back route in there. So that's typically if somebody's user and they're going to take that inside tight end who's come across the A route. I would think that that's who they're going to be dumping on. See right there, you can sometimes get to that if you want it, but so that's like all these plays though. You guys really, if you're playing people who are on the defensive line, don't even worry about it. But otherwise, it's on you to realize that stuff. So you've got to pay attention to where these users are and what their strengths are going to be, and then you get plays to kind of go away. And this one typically is one that should go away from at least that, because most people aren't going to be jumping on unless you run this too often. Well, all right, that's going to be all for this one, guys. I'm going to get worked on the next part. I'm just going to keep on hammering these out. Hope you enjoyed the start of this, and see y'all soon.